as kippers.
Wow.
But the traditional bloater is also worth seeking out.
I'd love a clavelli bloater.
The fish is brined and then smoked whole, guts, roe and all.
That's absolutely beautiful.
And I've still got our morning's catch to look forward to. Lovely working with such fantastically fresh fish. And these herrings have got a beautiful rainbow iridescence. Look at that. Rachel is the sister of my new fishing friend Stephen, and she's also cooking at the festival. I've promised her the fillets, because I've got my eye on the roe. These hard roe are the eggs from the female. Right, now this is the soft roe from the male. And if anything, it's even more of a delicacy. So, Rachel, what are you cooking today?
I'm going to be cooking a fillet of herring rolled in oatmeal.
Kind of like a grown-up fish finger.
Very nice, isn't it?
The fillets are dipped in flour, egg, and then the yolk flakes ready for frying. The final touch is a rather special seasoning. What's in there, Rachel? That looks a little bit cunning. Come on, what's going on?
There's a bit of fennel in there.
Yeah, I see it. And black pepper?
And black pepper. And a
salt.
bit of seaweed, actually.
A bit of seaweed. Right, well, I'm going to pinch some of that for my roe. It can't do any harm, can it? My roes are tossed in the seasoned flour and fried in sizzling oil and butter, while Rachel's oaty fillets also hit the skillet. The hard roes and the soft roes are aptly named because the hard roes do go really very hard and the soft roes stay really lovely and creamy in the middle. So it's quite a contrasting thing to have on the same plate. I think it's fantastic.
That's proper handsome, that.
And a fillet of herring as fresh as this. It's just sweet and gentle taste. Yeah, really nourishing. That's wonderful. What a wonderful fish. Right, just at this moment that you realise you're looking at a pile of herring sperm. Still.
You're going to make me choke in a minute.
Lovely.
Yeah, I'll do.
So next time you're at the fishmonger, don't dismiss the humble herring. Treat yourself to a silver darling. I'm all for oven bakes and steaming stews at this time of year. But I do like to cut my winter warmers with something fresh and crisp. So back in October, I was nurturing my seedlings for a fresh crop of winter salads. You don't have to have a greenhouse or a polytunnel to grow some fantastic winter salads. What a lot of gardeners don't realise is that most of our salad crops are actually frost hardy. This Claytonia, for example, really doesn't mind how cold it gets. And its lovely succulent leaves add a bit of crunch to a winter salad. That's delicious. This is corn salad, or mash. Another lovely, mild, but juicy and crunchy winter leaf. I'm also planting Winter Density, a lettuce that actually likes the cold. Cold weather helps it form a nice, crisp heart, and it's a really tasty lettuce too. This is landcress. It's got all the pep and bite of watercress, but it doesn't need to have its feet in water. It's very happy in a bed of soil. This one isn't so keen on the cold, so if you think there's a little bit of frost coming, grab yourself a cloche. So, what's a cloche? Well, round these parts, it's a fancy term for half a plastic drinks bottle. That should keep snug and warm in all but the harshest of frosts. And it's also slug-proof. 2 months later, and the chilly weather is here. But my salads are not complaining. In fact, they're thriving. And now I want something that's going to stop my leafy greens from being a mere side salad and put them centre stage. Something rooty and substantial. Look at that. That's a Jerusalem artichoke. A very, very lovely aromatic winter root. They really are rather gorgeous, aren't they? It just needs a bit of a buff and a polish, and it'll be a lovely pinky purple gem. When artichokes are freshly dug, you can roast them quite happily with the skins on. I'm going to cut mine into chunky quarters. A sprig of thyme, along with a few torn up strips of bay. Could be olive oil, but this time I'm using rapeseed oil. A little sprinkling of rough salt, a few grinds of pepper, The seasoned artichokes go into a preheated oil dish and into a hot oven. After 25 minutes, let the chokes out and rev it all up with a few hazelnuts. Then 5 more minutes in the oven.
And I'll be done. And now for a really easy dressing. I'm going to use this bowl that's still got a little bit of oil and thyme that the artichokes were tossed in.
But this time I'm cracking open the hazelnut oil.
When I'm making a dressing using nut oil, I love to put a squeeze of orange juice in for an extra freshness. A squeeze of lemon, pinch of sugar. That's wonderful.
Now the nuts are nicely toasted, give them a rub to loosen those papery skins. Then onto the salad go the warm artichokes and hazelnuts. Finish it off with a few shavings of a good hard goat's cheese.
And I'm looking for the mouthful that has everything. So I'm going to stab a bit of artichoke, grab a few leaves, pick up a bit of cheese, chase a hazelnut round the plate, and there we go. To me, that's the epitome of a well-balanced winter salad. It's substantial with the roots, feisty with all those tasty green leaves. There's only one flip side to this really rather charming dish, and that's artichokes being fartichokes. I've got a pretty windy night ahead. Never mind, eh? Let's enjoy the moment.
A couple of months back, I was finishing my beef steer on oats and molasses. It's now a month and a half since it went to slaughter, and I've already enjoyed a pot au feu of its offal and a lovely aromatic stew made from its shin. By way of a grand finale, I'm looking for a centrepiece for my big beefy thank you dinner coming up at the River Cottage Canteen. Ray's here to show me some of the hidden delights from the underappreciated forequarter, the front end of the carcass from the neck to the middle of the ribs.
Pound for pound, there's more flavour in the forequarter than in the hindquarter.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where the bargain cuts, but all the flavour is.
And it's just understanding the grain of the meat. That's the important thing on the forequarter.
Right.
It's just taking a little bit of trouble and prepare it properly.
We're about to see whether the oats and molasses that I fed this lovely steer on has done its job. Wow. Look at that.
That's it.
That is classic beef marbling.
And then we can taste a little bit, shall we?
Go on,
Have a
then.
little bit.
It's amazing, isn't it? And right in the eye of the meat, that tastes as sweet as anything. Completely delicious raw.
So if you asked me how would I cook that, I'd just walk it through a warm room.
With the 4-rib roasting joint put aside, the main cut we're after today is the brisket. That's the beefy equivalent of belly of pork or breast of lamb.
This is the brisket. It can be boiled brisket, it can be salt beef. But what I'd love is for you to help me get this prepped up as a long, slow roasting joint.
There's quite a lot of work on this to get it to that stage, mind. You've got to bone it out.
Yes.
Remove those little bits
Well,
of gristle.
I think we should hang this and come back to it.
Yeah, that'll be fine there. Lovely.
Nothing's going to go to waste. Ray and I are going to use some of the lesser cuts to make a couple of cured meat classics. Pastrami and biltong.
So you might get a nice bit of biltong out of there.
We will, yeah.
While Ray's prepping the leg top for pastrami, I'm seaming out strips of lean meat to turn into biltong. You can also make pastrami from silverside, and for biltong, ask your butcher for long, lean strips from the clod or neck. There are all kinds of cured beef dishes to be found around the world. Biltong has its origins in the Dutch wagon trails of South Africa, while pastrami found its way to the delis of New York via Jewish immigrants from Eastern Europe.
So for the biltong and the pastrami, we've got two slightly different sets of spices, but otherwise it's a similar process.
To cure the pastrami, Ray's using coriander seed, cracked black pepper, ginger, powdered garlic, salt of course, and soft brown sugar.
This one, you just take the meat and it's just rolled in there.
So there's no liquid in your marinade?
Not at the moment there isn't, but what you've got, you put the salt onto the meat, the liquid that's inside the meat turns the salt into a brine, and that travels into the middle and cures the meat. It's as simple as that, really.
That's it now? You're just going to leave that,
that,
turn it every now and again?
Yeah, that's the important thing, is to come back, and you'll see just after a couple of hours there'll be a lot of liquid will come out of that. You just keep turning that.
And how long does it stay in the cure?
A piece of meat about like that would be about 8 days.
And turning it over once or twice a day?
Once a day, really. To start with, you'll need a couple of times, but...
So that really wants to go into a fridge, or at least a very cool larder?
Cool larder, definitely, yeah.
A 12-hour spell in the cold smoker is authentic, but by no means essential. Either way, simmer gently for a couple of hours before eating. The spice mix we're using for the biltong is not that different. Coriander, black pepper, powdered garlic, turmeric, brown sugar, salt, plus a hint of chilli. The addition of vinegar makes this a wet cure that acts fast on our thin strips of meat.
Right, and then we want this. Not for you, but for the meat.
Phew, I haven't done that badly then.
No.
A light pounding will help them